Now, if you notice yourself starting to get a little chub around the belly, and you're wondering how do you specifically lose fat and lose weight in that area, in today's video, I want to share with you guys 7 less typical ways you can actually lose weight in your gut and what to actually do about it. What's up guys, Alex Hine here, author of the book Master the Day. One of the biggest questions I get from clients and from students and readers is how do I lose belly fat or how do I lose fat in my gut? Now normally I hear this from older people when they use the word gut, but everyone still is the same. Everyone wants to have a lean midsection, whether it is a female or a male. Now the very first tip here, to start supplementing with fish oil. So Charles Poliquin is a bodybuilding coach, and one of the things he mentions a lot is supplementing with larger doses of fish oil. So in one particular study, people that were given fish oil just supplemented without any exercise or without changing their diets, they lost more weight compared to those people who weren't supplementing with fish oil at all. Now another thing fish oil will help with is inflammation. So it could be inflammation related to something going on in your gut or another specific health condition, or it could be related to pain in your joints, for example. The second thing here is to rebalance estrogen and testosterone. So in many cases, when people gain weight, what's going on is that there's excess estrogen in their system, even if you're a man. Now the problem is, even for women, when there's excess estrogen, this tends to cause problems and hormonal imbalances. So one of the things you can do is follow a diet and a lifestyle that lowers the levels of estrogen, and for men, increases the levels of testosterone. Now generally speaking, for both sexes, that usually means losing belly fat. But here's what else you can do specifically and tactically. Have a lower carb, higher protein diet. There's a reason why all of my programs are based off of more protein and veggies and less carbs. And one of those reasons is better hormonal regulation. Now, also along the lines of better hormonal regulation is having less alcohol. So sorry, no 3 glasses of beer or 3 glasses of wine per night. On top of that, going with tip number 1, which was fish oil, supplementing with it, is going to help a lot with lowering levels of inflammation. And the third thing here, obviously for both men and women, is losing a bit of weight. So for example, men that have a higher protein diet lose weight and lift weights, see a resulting gain in testosterone. And women that lift weights, get more toned, have a higher protein, lower carb diet, have better hormonal function too, usually less estrogen and a better functioning thyroid, also less cortisol, the stress hormone, which will improve both in men and women. And once cortisol, the stress levels are lower, the functioning of the thyroid improves. Now the third thing is, speaking of your thyroid, a study done in the American Journal of Epidemiology found that exposure to fungicides and organochlorine pesticides increased the rate of hypothyroid among women by up to 20 to 40%. And obviously a well-functioning thyroid is critical to having the body's metabolism firing on all cylinders. So this study was actually in relation to pesticides in people's food. Now it's something you might not be thinking about because you might be thinking, well, I already eat plants, or I already eat healthy versions of meat, or I already eat whole grains. Well, you may also want to start checking the source now as well. We know that pesticides are also linked to cancers, to poor thyroid function, as well as many other processes in the body. The fourth thing here is to avoid the 3 major food additives that are designed to trick you in your taste buds. So food companies basically add 3 things to almost everything: sugar, fat, and salt. So the funny thing about sugar is that it's added in everything from cookies to bread and pizza sauce at Pizza Hut. McDonald's French fries and Pizza Hut's pizza sauce is rated way higher on the sugar and sweetness scale than something you'd normally expect to not be sweet, for example. Now, fat leads to the creamy texture in many foods. So the fat could be something like a saturated fat, it could be something like a trans fat, or it could be something just like an animal. Fat's usually added in that creamy avocado sauce you get at Panera Bread, or that drizzle and that glaze that's going on your steak. And the trick is to just eat fat where the sources are the most natural. So when you're eating animal protein, there's going to be fat, and that's okay. If you're eating avocados, there's going to be fat, and that's okay. Just watch out for sources that should not be containing that amount of fat or that kind of fat, like trans fats. And then the final thing here is to avoid added salt. So generally speaking, if you're adding salt when you're cooking, it's fine. Most of the salt that people get when we're talking about having too much comes from processed foods, which have crazy amounts of sodium. So if you're getting like bagged chips or you're going to the vending machine, make sure you check the bag before you get that, because sometimes like that and like Campbell's soup can have your entire day's dose of sodium in one can, for example. The fifth thing is to check with your doctor about supplementing with adaptogenic herbs. So adaptogenic herbs are herbs that have a very non-specific function in the body, and they actually supplement many processes going on. Now, in one particular study, Zucker diabetic fatty rats were treated with rhodiola root powder, 100 and 500 milligrams per kg of body weight, every day for 4 weeks. Now, the result? The root extract reversed their insulin resistance and lowered their triglycerides, which were all very important markers of heart health and longevity. Now, the researchers eventually concluded that this herb showed plenty of promise for treating metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes. So obviously, check with your doctor, but that may be something you could supplement with as well. The sixth thing, try a 30-day flour and no sugar challenge. So when you have no flour and no sugar, to be honest, you're removing two of the biggest sources of, on some level, junk calories that you wouldn't be getting otherwise. And one of the things I found is the fastest, healthiest way for my clients and students to lose weight is to try no flour and try no sugar. Do it for 30 days. You can still have other sources like rice, so you have carbs, or you have potatoes. It's not necessarily a no carb challenge, but if you just do that, you're gonna realize that maybe, wow, for lunch, having the sandwich isn't as good as having salmon and vegetables. You're gonna feel even more full, you're gonna be getting more nutrition, and you're gonna notice that you're gonna be losing weight. Now, the seventh habit here is to remember the 5 habits that differentiate weight loss maintainers versus weight loss relapsers. So there was a pretty cool study done that measured the 5 psychological differences between those two groups. People that lost weight and kept it off versus people that lost weight and then regained it. And here are the 5 things. The first thing was that they exercised, which is not surprising. 90% of the people that maintained their results did it, while only 34% of relapsers did. The second thing was that they were conscious of their behavior. 90% of maintainers were conscious about their choices, while only 70% of relapsers were. They used social support. Maintainers 80% of the time, relapsers 35% of the time. They confronted their problems directly, like, I'm overweight or I'm unhealthy, I need to do something about it. In the maintainers, they did that 95% of the time, and the relapsers 10% of the time. And then finally, the last difference between the people that kept their results and those that did not was that the relapsers didn't come up with their own personal strategies. While the maintainers realized that, hey, I'm different, my life situation is different, so I have to do something different to get the kind of results that I want. So I hope that helps you guys a little bit, a couple of different strategies that you might not have heard of in order to lose your gut and your belly fat. Now, before you go, I want you to leave a comment right there below. Let me know for you what strategies seem to work best. Hey guys, it's Alex. I hope you like this video. The best way to stay in touch is to grab that free guide on my site, 5 daily habits to help you lose your next 20 to 30 pounds. Click the monk dude right there to subscribe and watch the last video that just came out. And if you like this tiny daily habits approach, both to be more fit and also more successful in your life, check out my book, Master the Day, either in the description there or on Amazon. If you send me a receipt to alexander@modernhealthmonk.com, I'll send you a 2-hour bonus video course that builds off the principles in the book for free.